Hey everybody, Matt Galogli here with SRP Medical Marketing, and I want to talk to you today about vision. I was sitting outside and I was kind of digging into some things, and I thought about what would it be like if I was blind? Now, I was sitting outside. It's a gorgeous day here in North Carolina. It's going to be 80 degrees today, a little windy, got some storms coming tonight, but gorgeous blue sky right now. And I thought to myself, what would it be like if I was blind? What would it be like if I couldn't really see? And, I don't have any family members that are blind. I have family members that don't have that great of vision sometimes. I've only known kind of casually one or two blind people, and that was really just kind of for a day or something like that. But what would it be really like to be blind? Now, you might be wondering, what the hell has this got to do with my practice and surviving COVID and all of that? And I'll explain that to you in just a minute. See, what happens is when things get tough, what happens is that people have a tendency to get smaller and smaller and smaller. They go into protective mode, which makes sense, because if I was in a battle, if I was in a hand-to-hand combat and I had other people around me, I would try and get smaller and smaller and smaller so that I could protect myself and protect those that are near and dear to me. But the reality is the smaller you get, the smaller you make your world, the less vision that you have. You can only start to really see what's just around you. You can't see the entire field of play. And it's really important as an entrepreneur, as a business owner, that you're able to see the entire field of play. So one of the keys, and I've learned this going through the recession, I've had two businesses that didn't end well. I've had plenty of businesses that have ended well. But I've had difficult days just like anybody else. But the thing is that the tougher things get, the harder things get, most people don't understand the value of looking beyond, of having a bigger vision than the situation that you're in. So let me give you an example. I was having a conversation with a very dear friend of mine this morning, and we were talking about, should they rent their house or sell their house and all this other stuff. And I asked him a very simple question. I go, well, what's your vision for the next 20 years? And, what do you mean? I'm just trying to figure out if I should rent my place or not. I said, well, the answer isn't about whether or not you should rent your place. The answer lies in what kind of life do you want to have? Because having rental property is one kind of life, and I've had a rental property. Investing in the stock market, taking that money, investing in the stock market is another. Opening a business is another. There's a lot of different ways that you can invest money, but they have to fit your lifestyle. So I'll give you an example from me. People often ask, why did I sell the practices? Well, it's really simple. There were a number of things that would go on that didn't fit for my lifestyle. So I'm very much of an entrepreneur. I like very much to have my freedom. And at this next phase of my life, what I wanted to do is I wanted to build more freedom. I wanted to build the ability to go if I wanted to go live for a month in France, then I could go do that, literally. I wanted to set my life up so that if I wanted to go, if Katie and I wanted to go live in Vancouver for the summer, we could do that. And owning the clinics didn't really allow me to do that. The other thing was compliance. Businesses that have lots of compliance issues are not necessarily my favorite kind of business. And, I've been in financial services. I've worked in advertising and marketing in that arena. And it's the same thing there. I just don't like the compliance and the oversight. I'd like to have a lot more freedom to be able to market and do things the way I think are in the best interest. And so when I started coming down through the review and I started realizing, I could sell and make a decent profit, it made more sense for me, because what I really enjoy doing is I like working with the doctors one-on-one for them to be able to grow their practices. I get much more joy out of working in 10 or 12 different practices to deal with those challenges than to deal with just the challenges within my own practice. So that's one of the main reasons why I sold, is it didn't really fit my vision of my future lifestyle. And so I tell you this because it's so important that in this time, in this day, that you have a much clearer vision of the type of practice that you want to have. If you want to move away from taking insurance and you want to move to full cash, now is the best time to ever do it, right? I mean, we're at the tail end of this thing of things being able to open back up. But the reality is you still have plenty of time to put that plan into place. So I want you to get really clear on the vision that you want. And what this really means for people is that I want you to think about, I have a client of mine who goes, I can barely think past Friday, let alone 2 years from now. I want to push you to think 20 years from now. I want you to push, so I'm 52 right now, and I'll tell you some things here in just a minute, but I want you to push beyond where you are right now. And I want you to say, all right, what kind of life do I want to have? And by the way, one of the other things that I started realizing when I did this is that back then, the situation that I was in my personal relationships and my marriage and things like that, didn't fit with that vision that I had. I tried for years to make a lot of those things fit. And so I've transitioned quite a few things, which I'll tell you about it another day. I don't want to go into it here because it's kind of deep and it's kind of personal. But you really want I want you to get really, really clear on the vision that you have of what you want in life. Most doctors just kind of accept the fact that they're going to work 5 days a week. They're going to work 10 hours a day, and they're not going to have any time to themselves. If that's what you want, that's fine. But if you want a life where, let's say, you're just seeing patients 2.5 days a week, and the other 2.5 days a week, what you're doing is you're spending, say, writing or teaching or doing research or whatever it is, then let's work together to structure a life and a business that allows you to do that. Because life is not a one size fits all proposition. It's a multiple different sizes. It's one size for multiple different people, and that size has to be custom tailored to you. So that's my advice for you. We're coming to the tail end of this for a lot of people. If you're in Texas and you're in Florida, you're starting to see patients a lot more regularly now. If you're in Chicago, you might have a little bit more, or Illinois, you might have a little bit more restrictions. North Carolina, where I am, is opening up more. New York is not. All of that doesn't matter. What matters is that you have a really clear vision for the life that you want. You became a doctor, a PA, a nurse practitioner for a reason. And if it's about healing patients and helping people live better lives, and you're not being able to do that right now, let's create a life where you can. Let's create a life where you redo your sense of, or your meaning of what that means to live that fulfilling life and serve your patients at the same time. So don't run around blind. Don't get small right now. I want you to think bigger. Think 10 years down the line, 20 years down the line. If you'd like to talk one-on-one on this, all you have to do is just message me below and I'll send you a link where you can book a call on my calendar. For those of you that have inquired about working with me, I've had a number of you contact me over this time. I have 2 slots left. I work with 12 practices at a time. I have 10 right now, and actually I have 2 people pending. I tell you that because if you've ever thought about working, and a lot of people have said, hey, I've really thought about working with you, and they've pulled the trigger over this time, now's the time to do it. So if you want to be one of those folks, if you want to have vision, if you don't want to walk around blind, and you want to be able to lay out a plan to get to that place in your vision for what you want in life, why don't you message me and let's talk. All right. Y'all have a great day.